Hello friends, and welcome to iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 at Monza here in Italy. Very excited, looking forward to this race for a number of days. I've been doing a lot of practice and hoping to have steer, which makes sense. This is a series ultimately for beginners, and for beginners it's going to be harder to control oversteer than it is to control understeer. And the same under braking, that it's generally easier to understand what's going on if you lock a front brake and then you're just not going to turn in addition to not stopping as fast, whereas locking a rear brake can be pretty violent and uncomfortable as far as the back end of the car suddenly stepping out when you haven't even started turning yet. But I've biased the car to be a little bit more balanced between those. So particularly into coming this corner, Ascari, is when I tend to lock up the rear a little bit. And also the rear itself is a little bit squirrely coming into that corner. So something I have to watch out for. It's definitely going to take me a few laps to get up to speed as far as getting on the power early and fully. I'm also still kind of working out exactly where the line is through that corner, Parabolica. A little bit tricky under braking because you're not braking in a straight line. It is trail braking. There aren't really too many reference points because it's just a long sweeping corner. And then, you have to pick when to start accelerating, which is usually well before you can see the part of the track that you're going to be exiting onto. So let's see how the first lap goes. So in practice, I have been doing somewhere around a 1 minute 52.0, which I'm hoping is a relatively competitive time. If I really concentrate and try to make the most out of every single corner, I've gotten into the low minute 51s, but in the race I'd be happy to be doing around the 52s. I would hope to be able to pull out kind of a mid 1 minute 51 in qualifying at least to get into a good position there. So the speed bar you're seeing on the top part of the screen is, you can set it a number of different ways, but what I have it set to is to compare the current sector of the track I'm in, which normally contains a few corners, to compare that to the best sector I've done for the whole session. This is particularly important during the race when it's a good measure of how consistent am I being. Obviously you're not going to be going faster and faster the whole time, so it's generally going to be a negative number, or should I say a positive number. You're going to be going a little bit slower than you would normally go, or than the fastest you've ever gone, but hope to keep it to relatively small and consistent small positive numbers. See, I locked a rear there, and then struggling to grip so much with the front coming out of that slide that was always going to go wide there. And I couldn't lift, I had to lift it from the throttle. This is going to be a good lap. 152.3. Okay, could be better. Let's see if we can improve on that. So obviously locked a rear brake there too, which is going to compromise me pretty well on the exit. Still figuring out exactly where the braking point, not the braking point so much as the maximum braking force is. One downside of the pedals I have, which are from a Logitech Driving Force Pro, is that it takes so little force to depress them all the way that when you're learning your braking, you're learning it based on how far am I pushing the pedal, not how hard am I pushing the pedal. And it's much harder to maintain a muscle memory of that. So it's definitely going to take me some laps to dial in the braking, but it's important for me to remember as I'm going through these laps that, these do count. They aren't the hundreds of practice laps I've done so far, and it's more important to keep it on the track, even if that means being a little bit conservative, than trying to extract the absolute maximum, but leaving yourself open to making a mistake and then going off the track, crashing into another car. There was no reason to take that much curb there. So this isn't going to be a particularly good lap either, obviously, after that mistake. We'll do one more and then see what we can do about preparing for the race. That was a better exit, and you can see that we're not making the delta too much worse anyhow, if not improving it. This time won't be great, obviously, because of the mistake. I'm going to try to talk less this lap, try to get something more consistent in just to get a better sense of where I am. Or at least I won't talk as much under braking. Yeah, still not very good. So I've clearly lost a bit of feel here since the last time I did any significant practice, which was last night. I did probably 40 laps or so. So it's going to take some time to regain that feel. That's okay, you know. I won't be on my most competitive pace. But there are worse problems to have, like crashing. So priority 1 is to not do that. Decent run through the first Lesmo. Nice run through the second. Yeah, I felt myself going wide there, and the way the tarmac is structured, the way it's pretty bumpy, and the speed you're going, if you try to correct by turning more, you're just going to spin the car. And the barriers are not very forgiving around here. Alright. So we have about 5 minutes until the race. We'll make this the last timed lap. Bring it into the pits. 153. Not very good. Not a particularly consistent practice, but that's okay. The nice thing about iRacing is that, you know, because your results can be affected so much by people who, you know, who don't take it seriously and do treat it just as a simulation, that actually only the top 25% of your results count. So if I were to do 4 races at this track during the week, my best race would count. Now, of course, that includes if I win 4 times, I only get credited for 1 win. Not that I'm expecting that to happen. But then if I do a 5th race, if I have a 5th race, then 2 races count, all the way up to 8 races, and then if I do a 9th race, 3 races count, etc., etc. Let's look at the standings. Okay, I think people are not trying to lap that fast because those are not fast times. As in, people are maybe trying to improve their line through a particular corner and not worrying so much about their overall time, which is also a reasonable approach to practice. If I had had more time before the race, I could see having run a program like that, trying to dial in a particular corner or just a few corners and leaving yourself room to breathe and collect your thoughts through the rest of the lap. Decent exit through Parabolica. And we'll come into the pits, spark up, get ready for the race. Check the stream health while I have a moment. Seems like we're pretty good. Okay. So one thing I'd like to take a look at, actually, since we have a little bit of time, is the lap that I did that was in the 52, so lap number 2.
Okay.
So what we can do is we can actually ride in the chase cam. Take a look at, it's a good perspective to take a look at the lines you're taking, get an idea of where maybe... Yeah, so I see myself varying the brake pressure a lot there, clearly still trying to dial in where the limit is. The line itself through was relatively okay. See how the second chicane, the Roja chicane, goes. Okay, so that was more consistent on the brake. A decent line, decent braking point. So that's a pretty good road job. Yeah, that wasn't optimal. A little bit tentative on the turn in there. That one's going to take me a little bit of time to dial in as well. I was glad that I didn't take too much inside curb during the first part of the Oscar chicane there. It's easy to do that, which unsettles the car, which you don't want coming into a series of high-speed corners like that. To go into them with an unsettled car is asking for either trouble if you don't lift or having to lift. Yep, and oh, okay, so I didn't lock a brake. I actually went onto the grass. If we go back and take a look at that. Yeah, so right there, I hit. Oh, I went back too far. Anyway, I hit grass. That was the problem that happened there. And if other folks are doing competitive laps, I would take a look at them, ride on board. I know that Stranahan is a pretty quick driver. Maybe we'll ride on board with him, see what he's doing. On board, in a manner of speaking, obviously. Okay, I like my line better through there. I think the approach that a lot of people take, because it is only the top 25% of your races that count, is rather than doing a lot of practice and trying to get a good result in early, they'll just sort of assume that there are going to be terrible crashes in the first couple of days of racing, and you know, they'll just sort of count those as bogeys and use them to learn the line and how to get the most speed out of the track, with the intent of then maybe doing some practice after that and getting good results later in the week. But I had some time to practice the track before the race, so my setup, you know, my strategy was definitely to try to optimize my performance in the early races, which, provided I can keep out of trouble, hopefully that'll work out. So it is just about time for qualifying. There's the announcement there, so click the race button and we will join our race session. So what happens now, we've already been assigned to a server which is processing all of our race information, but at this point now we're broken up into a split. So of all the drivers who want to participate in the race, there's usually, you know, 2 to 3 times as many as can actually fit on the grid as once. They'll be broken up according to their, you know, their driver rating and other factors. And those are the people you'll actually rate against. So now is when I find out, by looking at the other names, maybe my car number, to get a good sense of how high, you know, how relatively high my I rating is, of what kind of drivers I'm going to be racing against. And it's a bit of a mixed bag. If it's a bunch of high quality drivers, you know that you're not going to be that fast, but at the same time, you're probably going to be able to make it through the race if you just keep your head on your shoulders. But if you get a lot of lower ranked drivers, that tells you that you're going to need to be a little bit more careful, but there's like a good opportunity for a good result if you can really maximize the potential. So hopefully we'll load with enough time to actually make qualifying. There we go. So let's see who we're racing with. Okay, all right, so it's a 30, maybe 26 car grid, and I am iRating number 15. So towards, you know, maybe 3/5 of the way down. That's all right. That means that there's definitely good potential to move up, and not too many drivers behind me that I have to be too worried about. A lot of these drivers, I also know that their I rating is high, maybe not based on this particular race series, but maybe other race series where they've done particularly well. So there's still a good opportunity to try and be faster than them in these cars on this track. And again, particularly earlier in the week when maybe a lot of them haven't had a lot of practice. So there's many different ways you can come at these series, many different ways you can try and get an advantage, or, you know, even just different preferences of style that you might have, but it's tough to say, which one is necessarily optimal. So really, I'm just going for what's comfortable for me, which is coming in with a lot of practice, so that I can do more thinking about the cars around me and less thinking about just plain old how to drive the lap. And it can really go either way what kind of race you get in. You might get in a race where you're racing constantly with drivers that are of a similar pace and end up around you, or people will get into accidents at the start and you'll have a relatively lonely run to a pretty good position. Or alternatively, you can just get crashed out in the first corner and have so much damage that you're never going to race that competitively. So this could go any of those ways, which is part of the excitement, part of the fun. So we're about to start qualifying. We'll go out. We have 2 timed laps to try and put a good time in. My approach is definitely going to be to take the first one rather sedately, and then that leaves me with a good banker time, so I can take a few more risks and try to put in a better time for my second lap. It's important to set the pit limiter now that incidents count. So for those who are new to iRacing, one feature of iRacing is that you have an iRating that's based on your performance in races relative to the strength of the drivers around you, but you also have a safety rating, and that's just based on pretty much straight up how many corners do you tend to go without having an incident. So we were in practice before. Incidents there don't count towards your safety rating. As of qualifying, this particular kind of qualifying, they count 35%. So 35% of the incident points will be applied to your safety rating. And in the race, it's 100%. So incidents are particularly costly there if you're someone who cares about your safety rating. And it's important to note that what qualifies you to run in higher tier race series is actually not your iRating. It's not how competitive you are relative to other drivers. It's your safety rating. So there are some race series that I'm hoping to race in the future where you can only get to them if you have a consistent record, a proven consistent record of being really safe. And it sounds boring. It sounds like the antithesis of racing, but ultimately what allows everyone to get the best experience out of it is not everyone trying to be reckless and make the most of every single opportunity. It's knowing when to fight and when to not fight. And so definitely going to be a little bit careful now, knowing that mistakes that I do make, even if they're as simple as going off track, will count towards my safety rating. And ultimately, I'm a Class C license now. I'd like to get up to a B by the end of the season. So, all right, coming into our first timed lap. I'm going to do less talking unless I make a mistake that I want to point out.
Green, green, green.
All right.
Okay, here comes your first timed lap.
So I'm going to be hoping for something around a low 1 minute 52, maybe a high 1 minute 51. We'll see how we go on the first lap. I was not confident on the exit there because of the amount of curb I took on the entry. That was a mistake. Hopefully not a particularly costly one. Not very good at all. Too late on the brakes. Unsettled the car through the first part of the chicane, so I had to lift and didn't make a particularly good exit. Alright, those 2 corners were okay. Yeah, I had to lift, took too much curb on the right-hand turn of Ascari. Felt it unsettle the car and did not want to slide and crash, so had to lift. Yeah, using the curb to get the car turned in is a somewhat effective, if slightly risky strategy. Alright, how do we do? 51.4, alright. That probably means the track is just faster, so everyone's going to have fast times, but no talking this lap. We'll see how it goes. Ah! That's it. You can't do another time lap after that. Alright. Well, 1:51.4 is a decent time, so nothing wrong with that. I mean, we can actually watch what happened there if I exit. So I was happy with my braking. I was excited to turn in, and just overdid it. Spun. Easy to do. It's too bad that I did it. Hopefully I'll be able to avoid doing it during the race. Something to watch out for now that it's happened. And I wonder if I go back and look if maybe brake pressure was part of the problem. Did I not ease off the brakes while turning? It was alright. Just turned in too aggressively and wasn't prepared to handle a slide. My mistake. Let's take a look at the results, see how we're doing. Looking good so far, although a number of drivers have yet to complete a timed lap. It's important to note the session is 8 minutes long. I tend to go out right at the beginning of the session just to try and get laps in, and that way I can take a breather before everything starts. But some people will also like to wait right till the end so that they get a sense of what kind of times they have to shoot for. A 50.9, wow. I've never come close to that. The best lap I've done has been like a 51.1. And again, I'm pretty convinced that there are different conditions in practice, the practice I was doing than during the race. The track might be a little bit cooler. It says the sim time is 7:06 p.m. I think the time that I was doing was in the morning, actually, maybe like 7 a.m. So it could be a cooler track, which will contribute to faster times. But so far, based on the times other people are doing, it looks like the first lap was pretty good. So at least, the second lap had the potential to be better if I hadn't made the mistake, but at least the first lap was okay. I'm very excited, or surprised, excuse me, to be up this far. There's a minute left of qualifying. Folks are still going to be running laps, so there's obviously the potential that some of these other higher seniority drivers are going to pull something good out. The number 9, the number 5, the number 2, who are towards the bottom of the timing now. And some folks may also, since they know that the first few races maybe won't count towards the result, they like to just not qualify, start from the pit lane or from the back of the grid, and see if, just sort of try to get around and get the feel, the lay of the land, see what the racing looks like. Maybe that's the strategy that they like to take. So it's not necessarily a given that everyone will run a qualifying lap. But we have about 30 seconds left. Any laps that you don't complete within that time, they don't count. You get pulled off the track right in the middle of your lap. So, yeah, I notice even the number one driver hasn't completed a qualifying lap. So they may be just looking to kind of gather some data, start from the pit lane and practice some racing, potentially even with each other. Maybe they have an agreement that that's how they're going to do it. All right, let's see the final few times come in.
There's the flag. It's over.
All right, so third on the grid it is. Pretty exciting. Definitely was not expecting to be anything like third on the grid. That's great to be up there. Let's go down to the grid, get ready for the race. I'll check my fuel. I have had problems with fuel before.
Hello?
Let's just make sure that 5.9 gallons, that'll be fine. All right, let's do it.
Hey, Mike. Hey, what's up, Chris? Had a 151.8 my second lap, but I got an off track. Nice, man. I used the setup from Merlin. Thanks, Merlin. By the way, man, I went almost 2 seconds faster with this setup. Yeah, look out first corner, please, everyone. Yeah, we're gonna make nice race of this one. No crash.
Yeah, remember on the first lap, the braking points are a lot earlier.
Yes, and the tire cork, guys. So watch out.
It's nice to hear that from everyone.
I shared my setup if anyone wants to try it. It's pretty decent.
That already people are thinking about being that careful. Obviously, you know, when I'm
Yeah,
braking,
actually, I saved that one to try it later. Nice one, Chris.
I'm basically keeping one eye in front of me and one eye in my virtual mirror. I still do run a virtual mirror on
It's a lot
these
higher
races,
down
even though
first than
it's
what I've seen a lot of
obviously
guys
not
run.
realistic to have that. At some point, I'd like to be
Good
racing.
luck, everyone.
All right, let's see. Let's go.
Green flag, green flag.
Is this the lead?
Left side, clear. Left side. Still there, hold your line. Clear.
Well, that was unexpected. All right, don't bottle it, David. Still got 15.8 laps to go, and there are guys behind me who are just plain faster, so here we go. But it would be good to build a gap if I can during this lap, get out of the slipstream from the guys behind. So I'm going to push a little bit. Let me put into relative mode so I can see the gap behind me. 1.5. All right, focus. Everyone's nice and spread out already. That's good. It's nice to see people are being careful, but it's also good for me because it means the faster drivers are even further back. Obviously, once everyone gets settled into a rhythm, I expect a lot of those drivers are going to be faster than me. We're going to start seeing those relative times creep
Okay, you are the leader.
upwards towards me, you know, downwards obviously. Their absolute value.
Brake, man, brake.
Ah! That's alright.
I told you brake, man. You still hit me, man. Come on.
I think that makes us fourth. I saw 3 cars go by. Definitely easy to do that.
Car on your left. Clear on the left. They say you cut the course. You'll have to slow down and give up the time gain. Go right.
Alright, no more mistakes after this. Just run a clean race. There would have been a good result there. Made 2 mistakes in 2 corners. It's alright. So having done that, it's important at this point not to get frustrated and start making more mistakes. Keep it consistent, and if I get passed a lot, I get passed a lot, you know? The important thing at this point is to finish.
What's up, Chris? I'm in first place, man. Don't crash, okay?
Pulling slight gap over the driver behind, that's good.
Chris, you still there or not?
Yeah, I'm here.
I braked not hard enough there and turned in early so that I would even have a chance of making the corner. That's why I took too much curb on entry there. Still pulling a gap, so let's keep it clean. Too fast into there. That was a better Ascari. I pulled 0.5 over him. So that's good. Just gotta keep it up. I don't plan to gain on the number one driver in front of me here, so. And let me turn my splits on for session best sector. Get just an idea of how consistent the performance is. So definitely at this point not thinking about moving forward, thinking way more about looking behind me. I do appear to be in fourth, which is interesting. Was that always where I was? Last lap was a 52.0, that's good. I'm happy with that. If I do that every lap, I'll be happy. That was also a great Redafilo chicane. Made up 0.15 over my best time. Didn't get an off track, even though I off tracked. Slightly weird thing about this game is they count off tracks not based on whether you go off track, but based on whether the geometric center of your car goes onto a non-approved driving surface. I swear that's the rule. So you can go like I did. I dipped a wheel, cleanly in the gravel, but it's not an off track because the geometric center of my car was on an approved driving surface. Oversteer on exit there, which is spooky because there's a metal barrier to the left-hand side. No room for error on exit there, because if you spin, you're done. That's it. You're out. That felt okay. Let's see how it was. 51.5, good. Close to our qualifying time. Guys ahead are battling. Hopefully that's good for us. Good on entry, not so good on exit, which is the opposite of what you want because you lose time all the way down the straight. I mean, even fourth place would be pretty awesome, so let's keep it up. Still many laps to go. Was that too much curb? No. Take too much curb there. The geometric center of your car goes over a non-approved driving surface and you pick up a time penalty like I did when I messed up that chicane on the second lap. I believe I am. I feel visually like
Which wheel do you have, Chris?
like I'm catching up to the cars in front of me. I should keep an eye on the times to see if I actually am. It'd be great to get an even better result out of this. But that doesn't mean that I should get so excited about it that I do anything stupid again.
Which wheel do you drive with?
I'm running a Fanatec V2.5.
It's a good wheel, better than mine.
Yeah.
Good exit there. You see I gained time down the entire straight. Yeah, I'm making up time to the leader. So I definitely feel like I'm one of the faster cars out here, which is very surprising. See, I lost less time there because I focused on being good on the exit. Be good on the exit. Let's keep making up time, see if we can actually race some people today. Ah, they're racing. They're holding each other up. Don't go wide. Thought I was gonna go wide.
I got the penalty moving like 1 millimeter over the thing, I think.
See all the weaving? People do a lot of weaving. I don't consider that sportsmanlike. You pick your line, you can make a defensive move once. You know, I follow the F1 rules, even if the sporting code is not the F1 rules. Particularly in these cars, all the constant weaving back and forth, it's... You know, if I'm going to play a game at 200 miles an hour, I'd rather it be chess than ping pong. I might actually have a chance to race these guys.
Got 10 laps to go.
Yeah. Do I have 10 laps of fuel? I do. That's a good sign. Oops. Let's keep the relative up. Man, if I'd kept the lead, I could have been racing the #1 iRating guy here. That would have been awesome.
Car stop on the left. Go right.
Spooky. So I see we're starting to encounter lapped traffic who are there because they have crashed, which means they are somewhat liable to crash again. Moments like that, the one there.
Go ahead and pass right.
So Mike in the number
Thanks,
in third pulled a bit of a gap through that traffic, but I don't care. I just care about not crashing. You can't control the fortune you have to encounter the traffic in a particular place. So, no sense getting annoyed about it if it's out of your control. Now, will this guy let me pass in a nice place? And will he brake too early?
Car right.
Just hold your line. It's
You're on
much
the right.
it's much easier to pass you if you hold your line.
Blue car ahead. Car stop on the left. Go right.
Yo, black car, you're getting flagged, man.
Is that for position?
Thank you.
I think that is for position. Alright, let's pull a gap to him. .7, that's enough. That's out of the slipstream. That's a free position. It's a shame to gain position through someone hitting lap traffic, but it is a position. Very squirrely. Alright, let's continue to try to gain on Mike. Don't go wide. Alright, this lap isn't going to be good between avoiding 2 cars.
Back in third. Keep hustling.
54, yeah.
Yo, Merlin, you're in front of me, man. What the hell? Nice.
Thank you.
I'm back where I started, at least.
You got a slow car on the left. Car stop on the left.
Yeah, you're fine, mate. Thank you.
Go left. The next car's the leader.
He almost hit me. Next car's the leader. That can't be right. It's not right. I'm in third. The next car's not the leader. My spotter is drunk.
Did you crash, Merlin?
Yeah, he spun up about the same place I did. He's 11 seconds behind me now.
Wow.
You're back in second.
No. Alright. Focus.
Go left.
Alright. Chris is 1.5 behind me. Let me worry about that before celebrating. .3. He's clearly faster at this stage. If he goes for it, I'm not going to fight him. I'd rather stay behind him and try to get him at the end. Good exit. Hopefully it's enough to help me defend. I gained a couple tenths.
The next car's the leader.
Oh wait, is Mike actually the leader? I'm so confused right now. Whatever, David, just drive the car. If I drive as fast as possible, the best thing will happen. Whoa, I thought that was going to be an off track. This is so great. I was not expecting to race with people of similar speed today, let alone to be the top 3. Too wide, too wide, too wide. Just don't spin it, that's what matters. Lost time to Chris. But I have the same gap to Mike, so if Chris gets a slipstream, I get a slipstream.
You got 5 laps to go.
Really? This has flown by. Alright, let's do it. Here we go. It's not going to be in Roja, but it's probably going to be somewhere. I mean, I could just sit behind him and wait for him to make a mistake, but he's so slow.
David, don't crash, please.
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
It's good because there's about 5 laps of
I'll
racing
let you
left.
buy on the straight, yeah? Just wait. If you're close, I'll let you buy.
Right side. Keep to the left. Clear. Car right. Keep to the left.
It's going to have to be under braking. It's the only way this is going to work.
Stay on the left. Still there. Clear.
Whew, that was close, boys. I locked up. Sorry about that.
No harm, no foul. Let's catch up to him. It's the only way this is going to work. Now, I shouldn't risk too much here because 3rd is a good result, and I have a 13.2 second gap to the car behind me. But I know I'm faster in at least the braking zones, definitely into Ascari, which is how I lost that position. He was so slow in that I got offline. wonder if I have front wing damage. Not going as fast as I should be. He's going to have the position, and now I'm going to have to pass. At least they're racing instead of Mike just letting people pass. He was so slow into Roja, I hit him, and he thought that I would just crash into him in general. Alright, good exit here.
Nice pass.
Exit's not good enough. I'm going to have to do it on the exit of Ascari. Losing so much time. 1.7 to Chris. Only 2 laps to go after the line. It's going to be second, third or second. Unless Chris makes a mistake.
You've got 2 laps to go.
Alright, under braking. Let's do it.
Car on your left. Still there, hold your line. Clear. The next car's the leader. Car on your left.
That's how it's done. Come on. Let's go. We can do this.
Yeah, I'm cool with it, you know. First week of playing, you know, do it like this.
My second. Was that a flex? Should I not have said that? Bad exit. Yeah, he wants to break the toe. I can't blame him.
You've got about 2 laps of fuel left.
There's only 1 lap left. Alright. Let's have a good parabolica. Try and get him down the straight. It's the only way.
White flag. 1 more lap to go. You're back in second.
I don't need the slipstream.
Are you guys racing for first behind me? Yeah, I was gonna make a move in T1, but I was so far.
Right side. Clear.
What a stupid mistake. The reason that happened was that I was in his air behind him, which affects your downforce negatively.
You have about 1 lap of fuel left.
Just gonna
Let's go around.
cruise to the line.
Take it, Tulu.
It's a good race, good pace. I'm very surprised that my pace was that competitive in this field. Too many mistakes, a lot of mistakes to iron out. I'm glad that I have more
Good
races this
boys.
week to do
Good
that.
clean racing.
Nice race, guys. Nice race. I think I'm second.
Yeah, you are. Too many mistakes for me. Good race, guys.
There's the flag. It's over.
Nice. Yes, nice, nice.
Good job. Very good job.
Nah, I'm not happy. I know it's a third, and I was surprised to even be third, let alone finish third, but should have been a win. There were too many opportunities to have done better. That's all right. We'll get them next time. And you know, to look on the bright side, this is way above where I was even expecting to be. So I mean, I should be happy with it. If you had asked me an hour ago, would you be happy to finish third? I would have said I'd be over the moon. But in context, having seen the opportunity that was there and having not taken it, it is disappointing. There's a lot to go back there and analyze to see if maybe when I was
I'm about to run
under.
out of fuel, Mike, so don't get too close to me. Go ahead and go around me.
I think me too. But we're done, right?
I can't believe I managed to escape that.
Yeah, you don't have to pit in at the end. I just like to.
The corners that you pass before the last car crosses the line count towards safety rating, so I usually take that as a cool down lap.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's interesting. It actually tells you like how many meters.
Of course, I usually get complacent and get it off track, so it doesn't matter anyway.
So I've never actually run out of fuel in this car. It's nice to know what it looks like, just so that I know what the number means if I see it again. All right.
Okay, the race is over. Bring it on in.
It's a good result. It would be incorrect to call
I
it a
guess I see
solid
you in the
result.
next race, guys, or not?
You know, I think I would probably be happier in the end with the result that, you know, it went better even if I wasn't as fast, but
We're done. Get going.
I can't be too annoyed about the fact that I was, you know, relatively faster than I thought I would be. Let's see what the lap times were like. Yeah, so until lap 16 where I made that mistake, that was the fastest lap. A 1:51.1 is very close to the fastest I've ever gone. Again, I think the track is cooler, so that boosts lap times over when I was practicing. I should try and practice again under these conditions about 7:30 p.m. to see if that makes a difference. And, you know, I'll check on what the grip level was configured on the
Hello?
track too. But a good lap, you know, it's nice to see that even under pressure I have the same pace that I do in
Yeah.
practice. I just need to iron out the mistakes and then
See you later, guys.
there's
Good
a
race.
chance for a real good result. So I'll probably stream more races later this week. This is a fun track to race on, particularly when people who are not me keep it clean. And who, you know, who knows, maybe a win could come out of it. But this is a solid result for the first time, so I'll try and enjoy the rest of the week. And till then, I'll see you guys later.